Okay, so finally it's time to start the skin. But before we actually start doing it, let's talk about the skin again, because this is like the final time we are gonna be, talking about the skin. So let's actually just clear everything up. And I am also gonna be using the Epic pen, by the way, so that I can like easily explain it to you. Now, let's actually open him again. So he's the Peter, by the way, from the website called Robofort. We've already know about this website. So one of the first thing you can see the directionality we have, and one of the things that you can see that this directionality is not just in the cheeks; they are actually in the eye socket. They are on the lips, and you are also gonna be able to find that in the forehead as well. Now, if you were to zoom in, you're gonna realize, like, let me just zoom in. You're gonna realize that there are like two pores, three pores, four pores are connected. Like you can see, these are like approximately three pores, and then the line is breaking up, and then a different line is continuing. So in this one, threes were connected. In this one, the threes are connected. So you can like see three pores are connected like this. In this case, only the one is kind of stretched out. In this case, the two are stretched out, and you can see in this case one again. So yeah, these are basically one of those things that we also need to keep in mind. In this case, I think there are two or three, and then it is breaking up. So yes, that's how we are going to be connecting the pores as well. We are going to make sure that we are going to be connecting the pores like this, and don't connect like this like I've just drawn. This is not gonna look good, and it obviously is not natural. So yeah, don't connect like this. And now we are gonna be let's see. So you can see in the eye socket, you can see how the skin directionality basically works, and we are gonna be using these lines in order to do a transition between pores and non-pores. So connect the pores in a way that they basically are just a continuation of these lines. So that's one of the things that you also need to make sure that you get correct. And at this part of the nose, you can see the directionality here. So all of these directionality you need to keep in mind. And if you are creating a younger person, see the reference how the skin is stretching, and make sure that you actually get that right. Now we can also talk about some of the forehead area, and let me actually just draw it for you. You can see how the directionality is going. So most of the skin is coming downwards, even though it is in the middle, it is going downwards, and you can see the pattern that it is making. So the lines are breaking up. It is not a continuous line. It is breaking it up, and the directionality is mostly downwards. In the middle part, it is sideways. You can see, but as you can clearly see, the pores are actually connected. This is one of the important part. Wherever there are lines, they are connecting the pores. This is actually important. You need to make sure that when you are creating these lines, you are just not randomly putting them anywhere. Try to connect the pores. And in the eyes, even though there are no pores, you can see how they are breaking up the structures. So you can clearly see that as well, like all these lines are just a breakup and not a continuous line. So this is going to make the portrait look so much more natural. And one of the most important thing is are the lips actually. This is important because all these lines, actually the radius of the brush is a bit too much, but these radius, not the radius, but the pores are like just a continuation, and they are going into the lip. So the lines in the lips are basically the transition point between the pores and the lips. You can see these lines are actually going out the lips. So this is also one of those things that you need to keep sure that you add, right, these vertical lines, and they are on the bottom and the upper lip. And yeah, these are some of the things that you need to make sure that you actually get right. Again, look at your references, and make sure that you basically get these stuff right. And I was talking about the continuous line. As you can see, there is a continuous line, but even though it is continuous, there are some branching out happening. Like you can see, let me just draw it for you. You can see there are some branches that are coming out, right? So, like you can see it here. And this is what I was talking about. Even though there are continuous line, there are some like branching that are happening over here. And you can see the direction in this particular area. So like it is totally up to you. Like just look at the reference and see how the stretching is happening in this particular area. The like the references, the direction is, you know, kind of vertical. So yes, make sure that you actually look at your references. And yeah, now we can actually, oh no, we are not jumping in Blender, but I'm drawing you the directions. So yeah, as you can see, the pores are connected. Even though I have not drawn this correctly, but you can clearly see what I'm trying to say, right? So connect the pores, give direction in terms of the connection, and you're gonna be good to go. Okay, now let's jump into the Blender and figure out how we would be able to connect the pores. And yeah, let's do the skin. Okay, so we are in the Blender, and as you can see, I've already started connecting the pores. And yeah, this is basically what we are gonna be doing. I am using the draw sharp brush, and strength and the radius is going to be consistent. That's why I've set the radius unit to scene so that the consistency would be there. Even if I were to zoom in or zoom out, the consistency of the radius of the brush would not actually get away. Now, I am in the highest subdivision. You need to make sure that you are in the highest subdivision. Otherwise, you're just going to lose that crispiness. And now we know what the directionality is. So we can actually just start connecting the pores. If you want to, you obviously, I mean, not want to, you obviously need to have your references on the side. I think in this case, my references are actually on the second screen. I am not entirely sure, but you're gonna see me connecting the pores, right? Like you can see. Okay, this is not the accurate way. I think I'm just explaining it that you are not supposed to do it like this, but do it like this, like connect the three or connect the two, or maybe sometimes you don't even need to connect any of the ports. Just create a line that give the hint of directions, and you're good to go. So in this case, you can see that yeah, I think the strength was a little bit low, so I am increasing the strength. And I am just doing the stroke over it. And yeah, that's basically it for the sake for the connection of pores. You need to make sure that the direction is correct, and try not to connect more than 3 or 4 pores. So this is what I'm gonna be doing in this video, just connecting the pores. Try to make sure that you basically set up your strength and your radius first. If you feel like that your brush's radius is not correct, try to figure out the radius first, and then, you know, start connecting the pores. Okay, now as you can see that I have basically figured out the radius and the strength. So the strength is 0.5 and the radius is 0.025 centimeters. Now I can actually just start connecting it. And as you can see, if there are no pores, you can technically add a line there. It's not like a rule or anything. You technically can add a line. For example, you can see there are lines in between. But yes, try to make sure that you actually connect the pores. We are going to be creating these middle lines afterwards. Like there are some okay, so right now I'm just talking about that some of the lines could actually go against the flow of direction, and it is totally fine. Like you can see how the direction on the folds are going. So some of the lines could potentially go in the other direction, and it is just going to give you more randomness. So yeah, this is also one of those things that you can do. And yeah, you obviously don't have to follow some of the lines, like some of the lines, don't not all the lines, but some of the lines can actually go against the flow of direction. And that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, like like you can see how the direction is going a bit outwards, because that's what it was in the reference. And yeah, this is what I'm doing. Okay, so one of those things I haven't actually talked about in the nasal level fold. In the nasal level fold, you are also like supposed to create pores according to the fold where there is fold. In this particular area, the direction is not really gonna matter. Only the crease is gonna matter. The directionality is gonna come in the other part. So you can see in the nasal level fold area, I am actually just following the crease of this particular area. That's why you can see the direction is in the crease part. And yeah, like I am randomly just gonna go into other areas and start connecting the pores. And in the reference you can see wherever there is no directionality, the lines are going in each and every direction. So just like look at the references and try to figure out what's actually working for your character. And as you can see, I am basically just connecting through the crease of this nasal labial fold. And right now I'm not thinking about the skin direction. The skin direction is gonna be more like visible on the cheek area, but because this is like the crease, and I'm also not working on symmetry, by the way. So yeah, this is also one of those things that I'm doing. In this area you can see, because we have a wrinkle here, I think it's better to actually just connect the pores here as well. You can see that I'm connecting the pores according to the wrinkles. So this is also one of those important things. We are going to be adding the volumes a bit later, but we can actually start connecting the pores. Even though I felt like that the brush's size was a bit small, when you are doing the wrinkles like this, make sure that the size of your brush was actually a bit bigger. But yes, in this case, like you can see, I didn't even connected the pore in this particular in this like example. I've only just straight up created a line, and you can do it. You can only connect two pores, you can only connect three pores, and also you can only just create a line like this on one single pore. And this is also gonna be good enough to give you the hint of directionality. Now, after this is going to be a process, by the way, just like the pores were, and it is also going to take time. But trust me, it's going to be much more faster than the pores, because you basically, you don't really need to be that precise. Like you can do something like this. And as you can see, I have basically just went into the time lapse mode, and you're gonna see that it is actually, it's gonna went pretty fast. Like it is not really going to take that much amount of time. And yeah, it's already a time lapse. I had no idea that this part is actually gonna be the timeless thing. So I am now creating a brush. Okay, so this brush I think is for the sake of randomness, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm actually just selecting the blow brush for some reason. Am I gonna start adding the randomness now? Is there anything? I think I'm actually creating the random skin brush. I think that's what I'm doing, because I've only used the blob brush for the randomness in the skin. And we're gonna see what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna create the random brush. Yes. So the mapping is going to be the area plane or the view plane. You can try using both. And the stroke method is going to be airbrush. And you can see what airbrush basically gives us. It actually gives this effect of spray, but we need to increase the jitter so that it would look like that we are spraying things. Right now, it does not look like that we are spraying anything. We need to increase it a bit more, increase the jitter a bit more. So let me increase the jitter to how much? To point. Okay, so to 0.6, and you can see it is kind of spraying it out. And you need to decrease the rate so that actually there would be more strokes coming out. And the jitter is at 2, and you can see what we are getting, right? This is basically how we are going to create the bumps on our skin. And we are finally going to get rid of this flat looking skin with this brush. So that's what I've just did. And I am going to decrease the size of the brush and start adding some of these variation. Like you can see, maybe increase the strength a bit. And yeah, I am just going to pull. I'm just going to use this brush all over my face with the symmetry on, because why not? And the movement of my hands are going to be circular. So I am gonna be doing the circular motion with my hand, as you can see. And I'm gonna try to make sure that I actually get it almost everywhere in the face. So you can see that the motion of the hand is a bit circular, and just trying to put this randomness in the each and every single one of the areas, so that the flatness right now that we have on our face basically disappears, and we basically start getting some of the specular breakdown in the skin. This is gonna actually help the skin look a bit more natural. And yeah, now we are just gonna do this for the whole face, and let's see. I am still figuring out the strength, by the way. So you can like see, actually the strength is a bit too low. I don't know if you can see me doing the strokes, and like you can see it a little bit. I really hope that you can see it, by the way, because it is actually kind of hard to see, but the strength is pretty low. So I really hope that it is visible what I'm doing. Maybe zoom in a bit if you can. I don't know. Maybe that's the only way you will be able to say it. But yeah, I'm definitely like doing the circular motion and creating this randomness on the face. So yeah, I am basically just gonna be doing this on the whole face, and then we are gonna start adding the direction. So if you feel like that your face is not actually as messed up, or maybe your face is actually smoother, you don't really need to do this. I mean, obviously with different kind of face you need to figure out different settings. Maybe it won't even work on your face, maybe your face is gonna be much more smoother. So yes, according to the need, according to the situation, you need to make sure that you add it or not. So yeah, I am basically gonna add it on all the face, especially on the forehead. By the way, if you were to just look at the forehead and the speck of the forehead, you're gonna realize that it needs more of this skin bumpy randomness, whatever you actually wanna call it. In my case, it is like skin randomness, like skin bump, or yeah, whatever you wanna call it. So as you can see, I am basically removing this flat surface that we've had for so long, and I am actually adding the bumps. So yeah. Okay, in this case, as you can see, the pores are stopping here because I know the hairs are gonna be there, so I don't really need to add the pores on the whole head. I only needed to add the pores wherever there are like visible skin. And yeah, after that you can see how the skin randomness is actually doing its magic. It is already making the skin look better, I think, a much better. You can see so yeah, this is also one of those important brushes, by the way. You just have to increase the jitter. You can like see the settings of mine, by the way. The jitter is at 2, and the rate is at 0.01. So and the strength is at zero point 0.2 and the radius at 0.074. So these are my settings. You can, if you want to, copy it. Now after I'm done with the skin randomness, I am actually again going to connect the pores. So this is a time lapse because I'm just using the same brush that I've shown you. The strength is at zero point 0.5, the radius is 0.02. Okay, now the only thing that you need to make sure is that you basically look at your reference and try to match the directionality. And as you can see, I've opened up the reference on the side. Okay, so there is another older guy, but I didn't really wanted to, match the skin with that particular person. I felt like this guy, Peter's skin is actually much more better looking. So I am just like focusing on this skin, and I am just gonna try to match the directionality with him. And yeah, this basically is what I'm gonna be doing. I'm just going to match the pose, and trust me, it is not really gonna take that long. I mean, it might look like that it is, but you only have to match the pose on the major areas. So for example, on the lips, on the cheeks, on the forehead, everywhere else we are going to be using the direction brush that we've created in the previous video. You've seen the direction brush, right, which was kind of similar to the ZBrush is alpha. So we are going to be using that brush to giving the direction as well, and that brush is going to do wonders. I'm telling you, that brush is pretty awesome as well. But yes, we are also gonna have to do this manual thing, and yeah, that's what we are doing right now, all this manual stuff. Now if you want to, you can actually increase the size of your brush. I feel like that I could have actually tried doing that, because in this case right now I'm actually looking at it, I feel like that the size of the brush is actually kind of small. So make sure when you are creating your portrait, you basically do a little bit of experiment with your own brushes, and maybe that is gonna work better. So yeah, I am gonna do into the lips a bit later. Oh wait, no, I am actually doing it. I thought I'm gonna do the lips later, but you can see these vertical lines that I was talking about in the lips are one of those lines that I'm adding right now. And the pores are definitely need to be connected. Even if some of the lines are not connecting the pores, make sure that the pores are like connected. Okay, otherwise it's not really gonna look natural, and all these lines are gonna create this subsurface darker scattering effect, and they are gonna look much more natural. So yeah, you can see this direction in the actually in him, in the Peter you cannot see these lines, but there are another other characters that have these lines that I've just drawn in the bottom of the nose, so that's why I've added those. And if you want to, you can add those lines. If you feel like that your character does not really need these, you don't really have to. The only thing that I'm doing right now is basically adding these vertical lines that are connecting the lips with the pores. When we'll be start doing the lips, we are going to be using these lines and start creating the lips basically. So yes, right now I'm only creating these vertical lines, and I am also kind of creating this creating these wrinkles. I still think that a bigger brush would have given me a better result, but I think it's totally fine. This part is only is gonna be covered with the hairs, covered with the beard. So also I didn't really felt like adding a whole lot of details in this particular area, but it's okay. Just for the sake of showing you, I'm doing this, but I could have just skipped the part, and I could have just focused on the area that is gonna be visible in the final render, because I already knew that he's gonna have the beard and everything. So yeah, now again I'm back to the lips, and I'm creating all these vertical lines, and you can see that the like the symmetry is off. If you want to, you can actually add some of these lines with the symmetry. By the way, it's not really that big of a deal, because no one's gonna be able to pinpoint each and every single one of these lines, right? So yes, you can actually do some of these with the symmetry on. But in my case, I always try to do this without the symmetry, and yeah, you can see now that I am actually going a bit above the lip area and start adding some of these smaller lines on the pores to give the directionality. And I think the size of the brush is also a bit increased, like it is at 0.034. So I have increased the size of the brush, and that's actually giving me a bit better result, I think. Experiment with yours, by the way. If you are like, if you feel like that the lines are a bit too thin, try to match it with your reference. And yeah, you can see in this particular area there are some crisscross happening, so that's why I'm actually adding the crisscross here. In the future there's gonna be a mustache, and we are not gonna be able to see all this stuff, but yeah, it still is actually fun to do. This is one of those things that you don't really need to think about as much. You just need to connect the pores, and even if you were to do something random, it is not really going to affect the skin as much. So these are some of the most chilling areas, I feel like. You can just put on the music, you can just put on the podcast or whatever you listen to. Just listen to whatever you really like to listen, and just have a pen in your hand, just start connecting the pores. So this is more like doing the pose itself. You don't really need to think about as much. This is actually similar to it. And as you can see, we've it didn't really took that long to add so many of these lines, right? And after you okay, so in the future we are gonna be using the direction brush. If you feel like that direction brush is actually much more quicker and much more better option, you can also just choose the direction brush only. But the problem with direction brush is it does not connect the pores like 100%. So So that's why I actually kind of like to use the manual method like I'm doing right now. But if you feel like that direction brush actually does the job, and it is obviously going to be the quicker method, you can just use the direction brush only, and then afterward maybe connect some of the pores manually. But yes, this is one of the method, and it actually, trust me, it is not going to take that long. I've been saying it a bit too much, but you can see that it's not really that long. And even though it's a time lapse, you can see how less time it actually took for us to get here. Like, we've already added so many of these lines because it is actually a fast process. And again, if you feel like that your PC is not good enough, because right now this is a 52 million polygon mesh, like we are working on the highest subdivision, and trust me, it is 52 million. So if your PC is kind of hanging or kind of lagging, just hide the back area, hide the neck, hide the forehead. If you are not working on forehead, just make sure the part that you are working on is visible, and that is going to improve the performance quite a bit. Now you can see, as soon as I'm actually going towards the crease, I am basically just changing the direction so that it seems like that there is a crease of a nasal labial fold. And I am also creating bigger like brushes stroke to represent that particular fold. So yeah, the thing is, because you can actually get bored of doing this, you can just jump around the areas. Like, I was just doing the crease of the nasal labial fold, and now I'm back at the lip, like near the lip. So jumping around is gonna maybe refresh some of the mind. And yeah, you can see that some of the crisscross is happening over here. And yeah, see. So you definitely can do this crisscrossness, even though I've told about only direction. If your reference have this crisscross kind of a thing, you definitely should try and add it. And yeah, this is basically what I'm doing. I don't know what else to comment it, by the way. I'm only connecting the pores and I'm only looking at the reference. I've already talked about how you should connect the pores, like don't connect five or six pores. Maybe if you have a reference, you can connect it, but yeah, try to make sure that you break up your lines. For example, try not to have a continuous line going on, and in the end you are going to get super awesome looking skin. So in this case, I thought that this bump that we've added was a bit too much, so I've smoothed that particular part out. You've just seen that. And yeah, I mean, this part is gonna have mustache. I've totally forgotten about it, if I'm being honest. But I really needed to show you the process of creating like these lines near the lips, because this is actually kind of important. You're gonna see these lines are gonna be the continuation, and they're gonna form the wrinkles in the end. So that's why these lines are actually pretty important. Okay, so yeah, I'm just connecting the lines vertically. There is like, and there isn't really anything extraordinary that I'm doing. It is gonna take its time. Like, we are only at the lip part, we are also gonna go into the forehead area. So yeah, those are some of the areas we're also gonna go to. And I'm constantly looking at my reference for direction, because you never know how much of the variation you can get from your references, and those variations could be, placed into your sculpture. Like, you cannot really remember all the minute details that a real human face have. So you always need to make sure that you look at the references for all those minute details. Like, for example, I have created multiple pores, but I have also like broken up the lines. So yeah, we also need to create these vertical lines in the bottom lips as well. But right now I'm actually doing the crisscross thing, I think. Also doing the vertical lines. Okay, okay, cool. So yeah, you can see how I am also creating these vertical lines. Okay, I am actually kind of exhausted now. Speaking too long, when you are not really speaking in your mother tongue, for some reason your mouth hurts. I don't know why is that. I mean, right now I'm actually kind of feeling exhausted. I don't, like, I can talk to someone in Hindi for hours. Like, literally, I have friends and Sometimes we do a group call and we talk to each other. I've never really felt like my mouth is hurting, but because I'm speaking in English, which is obviously not my mother tongue, for some reason I am actually kind of feeling exhausted. But yeah, you can see that again I am connecting these pores vertically. This is actually super important area. This is you should definitely have these lines that are connecting the lip. Otherwise, this natural skin part is not gonna come. And yeah, I am taking reference on this particular area, and as you can see, the direction is basically horizontal in this part. So that's why I am actually just creating the pores horizontally now. Always look at your reference. This is one of the tips, obviously, that I can give it to you. And always make sure that you are breaking up these lines. Sometimes maybe not adding these lines as straight as I'm adding right now, but in my case, it actually worked. Maybe because there's gonna be a beard in this area. I mean, the skin in the end was actually pretty great. I am happy with the skin. So, yeah, you can see it is like I am like speeding things up because like there isn't really anything for me to explain. I am just like connecting the pores like how I am seeing in the reference. So wherever there are less directionality, I'm only connecting two pores or three pores maximum. I'm not really going for the four pores. So this is also one of the important thing. If you feel like that there is no directionality, you don't really have to connect a whole lot of pores. In this particular area, I felt like that the directionality is not there. So I am just doing these lines basically in every single one of those directions, and yeah, it actually is working. So yeah, again, I have run out of things to say. I've already told you, so just look at the video right now and I'll take another sip of water. Okay, so I am back and I can actually talk about the skin a bit more. Making skin is not a straightforward process. As you can see, I've just added the bump, the random skin bump, and that's just how it is. This is basically a layering thing. You add the pores, you add the directionality, you add the bumps, and then you use the direction brush. So these four or five things basically make up the whole skin, and that's just how it is. Also the micro displacement, which we are going to be adding through the shader. We don't have enough polygons that we can actually do the micro displacement as well. So that particular part is going to be introduced in the shading part. And yes, these are four or five things. They basically combine together and make up the whole skin. So let me just talk about those again. So pores, and then the skin randomness, and then the skin directionality that we are doing right now, and the skin direction which we are going to be doing in the future. These four or five things, and yes, the micro displacement. So these four or five things actually combine together and create this layering on top of each other to basically create a good looking skin. And yeah, you're actually gonna see how the skin turns out to be. Actually, you've seen the render of the skin, right? You've seen the close-up render of the skin, so you already know how the skin actually turned out. So this is the skin. This is what we are creating, and that's how it is gonna look in the end. Isn't it awesome? I think it's actually pretty awesome that the skin turned out to be like this. So yeah, if you feel like that the skin is not looking good, that's because this is only the second or third layer. We still need to add two more layers on top of this, and trust me, that part is gonna be much more quicker. Like, only two manual things are adding pose and then adding directionality, like we are doing right now, because you've seen that we've added the skin randomness and that actually went on pretty quickly. So yes, the skin randomness actually takes no time. The skin directionality brush, the brush that we are going to use in the future, takes no time. The only two things that takes time are adding pores and then adding directionality, like we are doing right now. So these are the only two time taking stuff, like time taking process. And what I've done to the other side of the face, like on the right side of the face, is basically what I'm doing on this left side. And as you can see, the crease of the nasal labial fold is basically what is guiding the direction. So the directionality is following that particular crease, like the crease of the nasal labial fold. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. Again, I'm looking at the references. You can see how how the references are, like the direction in the direction in the references are, and I am basically just following the same thing in this one. Okay, so this video is about to end, and we still have not added the directionality on the forehead, but it's okay. We are gonna be doing a little bit more of sculpting, and then we are gonna continue adding the directionality. I mean, it is a process. We have to go back and forth, but yeah, this is basically where the video ends, and we are gonna start a little bit of sculpting, and then we're gonna go back to the skin again.